Francesco, thank you very much for coming. Tell me a little bit about the conference that you guys are organizing here.
So this is the Erlang Factory. It's the largest Erlang gathering on Erlang and Elixir gathering on in the US.
Wow.
It's we started it in 2009, so this is the sixth year.
Interesting. Very cool.
And the first year we actually sold out, so it's great news.
That's fantastic.
And it's just show that this community is expanding and growing.
Absolutely.
We'll have to figure out how to fit in more people next year, either a new venue or So the types of speakers will vary. That's what's so great about this conference, from academics all the way up to people in the industry using Erlang, and that will include startups as well as Fortune 100 companies.
Very cool.
Users of Erlang. I mean, just to give you some examples, we've got Simon Thompson from University of Kent speaking.
Wow.
We've got we've had speakers from St Andrews, Oxford University,
Wow.
Uppsala University, and many others.
Wow.
What's great is there's a lot of academics actually attending these conferences, even though it's not an academic conference, and that's it's creating bridges between academia and industry.
That's excellent.
When it comes to startups, it's everything from the startup which is still pre-funded, which still hasn't been funded, all the way up to the startup which just recently got valued at in the billions.
Wow. That's great.
Large companies as well.
That's great. And I know that you actually started this as an offshoot of your own company.
So I mean, this is done as Erlang Solutions. Yes. So we organize events around Erlang.
Yep.
Erlang Factory in the US, the Erlang User Conference in Stockholm every year, in June every year, and Code Mesh in London.
Oh wow.
So Code Mesh is it's more on non-mainstream technologies. It started out of frustration because all the big conferences never gave enough space to non-mainstream tech. And it's almost a conference on where distributed programming meets functional programming. So
interesting.
Really great speakers and
very cool.
Great vibe as well.
No, that's awesome. What would you actually consider non-mainstream tech? Functional programming.
Functional programming, large-scale distributed programming. So I think the types of languages represented include Scala, Clojure, Erlang, Haskell. More recently, they've been looking at Elixir, Elm, Idris, and
very cool.
A lot of kind of NoSQL databases. They still have a fraction of the market when it comes to databases, but they're the only databases which will scale.
And building really cool technology as well.
Distributed environments, exactly.
No, that's actually...
It's almost cutting edge tech, which still hasn't made it into the kind of enterprise world.
Yeah, no, I've always been a firm believer in the power of just getting people together around a common topic and a common theme. And it's amazing the cool stuff that can actually come out of that.
Exactly. One really interesting statistics is that every time for Code Mesh, for example, we went out and did a survey where one of the questions is, will you be using what you've learned at a conference in your day-to-day job? 50% answered no.
Wow.
And the reason, but 95% said they'd love the conference, they're coming back next year.
Wow.
And then you dug into it more deeply and you realize that these 50% are stuck with mainstream technologies. But they're trying to learn more about alternative tech to bring it into their workplace. But and that's why they're there. So they're there to learn, and this thirst for knowledge, for sharing ideas, which I've not seen at many other conferences, at least mainstream conferences.
That's really cool. So how did you actually start the conference part of the business? Tell me about Erlang Solutions.
So Erlang Solutions was started almost by accident in '99. I'd been working for Ericsson with Erlang for about 5 years, first with inventors of Erlang and then the training consulting arm, and we'd been looking for an opportunity to leave Sweden and move abroad. And when that opportunity arose, I handed in my notice and moved to London, expecting to maybe take a few months off, finish my pieces and get my driver's license, settle in. And we flew over on a Saturday, and on Monday morning they were already looking for me, offer me consulting gigs.
Oh my gosh.
And this was 1 year after Erlang had been released as open source, so very few people outside of Ericsson were using it.
Wow.
But within 2 weeks I had 3 consulting job offers and a permanent job offer. And at that point, after 2 weeks, I came to the realization, there's a business case to set up my own company. And that's what I did. And from there, it was only me for the first 4 or 5 years. In 2003, we got the first subcontractors. 2004 first interns in office, and 2005 first permanent employees.
Wow.
And we've grown organically since.
Very cool.
We started doing conferences in 2009,
Mm-hmm.
where we're doing more and more business here in the US, and realized that we needed to have a conference here in the US to start gathering the community.
Yep.
And bring everyone together in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So April 2009, we decided in January to do the conference, and 3 months later,
oh my gosh,
in Palo Alto, we pulled it off. It was a great atmosphere.
that's fantastic.
You had the European Erlang community meeting the American Erlang community for the first time. The two had grown independently of each other.
Wow.
We knew of each other from the mailing lists.
Interesting.
But we've not necessarily met face to face, and so
Do you feel like the developer cultures are actually different in Europe as opposed to the United States?
The problems you're solving here on the West Coast are very different from the problems we're solving in Europe.
What type of problems would Erlang in Europe actually be facing, and what type of problems?
Telecoms, clusters, payment systems, but not. People aren't thinking in terms of at least this was back in 2009, of the massive scale you're thinking of here on the West Coast. I think Google, Facebook, Twitter, PayPal, they're solving problems of a magnitude, 10 times larger than what any other European company might be solving. Cloud computing, everyone was, here in the States in 2009 was talking about cloud computing.
Yep.
We were still talking about tweaking the operating system and not letting go of the control of the stack.
Wow.
So to pull out the last CPU cycle out of a machine. We were talking about scaling on multi-core architectures. Here in the US, you were talking about virtualization. So it was two completely different worlds who were solving completely different problems, who met for the first time and got on like a house on fire. It was a great atmosphere, And
No, that's another thing that's also been really interesting to me is going out to the East Coast and like the New York engineering scene. A lot of it's built around like high frequency trading.
Yes.
And there's a lot of computer science that's actually being done. For instance, like putting your algorithm inside of the network card driver.
Yes.
Because you can't actually waste 100 milliseconds going back to the CPU and back.
Yeah.
And it kind of blows my mind that something like that, and focusing a lot of money and time and research on optimizing that, will lead to almost a different type of computer science, or a different branch of computer science. Distributed computing is very much kind of in that same vein. It's like when you think about distributed problems and distributed algorithms and distributed computing of any kind,
you need to get into a completely different mindset and a completely different way of approaching problems, just assuming things can go wrong. And that's when Erlang is the perfect fit. You've got no guarantee that a message sent within a node is going to reach its recipient, because the recipient might have died. And the same applies to sending messages across a network. So that's where something running on a single node will easily distribute across a cluster of nodes.
Wow. So is Erlang Solutions, is it primarily a consulting company?
So we started off as a consulting company, and the first name of the company was Cesarini Consulting Limited, which was a really stupid name. Advice to all of the founders out there: never name a company after the founder, the name of the founder, because when you do start expanding, everyone wants, I want the Cesarini guy to teach the course or do the consulting, and but he's just as good. No. And so we changed name to Erlang Training and Consulting, which was another really stupid idea. And never name a company after the products and services you provide, because as soon as you've named it, you're gonna start providing new services.
Yep.
And indeed, 2 months after we changed name, we started providing in-house software development. So this is techies at work running companies. It's what they don't teach you about running a company when you're taking your computer science degree.
No,
in itself is a completely separate talk. But so we started off as a training and consulting company. I was helping companies outside of Ericsson with the adoption of Erlang. I was helping them train. I started, taught my first Erlang course in '97.
Wow.
And then in 2000, I started developing my own training material.
Wow.
Not happy with. I had my way of teaching, and I
Yep.
think that was the best thing, was to do my own. And then we started providing in-house systems development on behalf of third parties. So we had customers who wanted, where time to market was critical, so we would start developing the product for them, and in parallel we'd start training their team, and then start embedding people in our team, and then doing a final handover, stepping back and letting them deal with first and second line, and we'd be there in the background for third line support, and then eventually making ourselves completely redundant.
That's great.
And then we've since expanded into conferences, certification. We have support of the open source, of Erlang OTP, of the virtual machine, and all the libraries which are part of the Erlang distribution from Ericsson,
Very
where
cool.
we act as first and second line, Ericsson acts as third line.
Wow.
And more recently, we started getting into products as well.
What type of products are you actually developing?
So one of the products is Mongoose IM, which is an XMPP server.
Cool.
It's powering a lot of chat servers out there. Some on a huge scale, massive scale.
Can you just give me like orders of magnitude? What type of, when you say massive scale, what do you think?
So on a single machine, we managed to push the number of simultaneous users to about 1 million.
Wow.
That's on one single machine.
Wow.
And that's the beauty of Erlang. Every user, every socket is a process, and an Erlang VM will expand to millions and millions of processes. So
wow.
And it's a question of fine-tuning the operating system, fine-tuning the VM, And I think WhatsApp has led the way in this space, where they managed to push the number of simultaneous open TCP IP connections on a single machine to about 2 million. That was quite a few years ago.
Wow. And so aside from Mongoose IM, is that an open source product?
That is an open source product, yes, that's correct, which anyone can use. And I think our focus there is around support, operations. We manage quite a few networks on behalf of customers, quite a few installations on behalf of customers, as well as customizations. There's no one size fits all when it comes to instant messaging, and everyone will want to be competitive in their own kind of way. I think it's that we want to build a WhatsApp but better approach, and so customization is key. And so no to very few Mongoose IM installations out there. 2 single installations out there are alike.
Interesting. What other products do you guys actually have in your pipeline? Can you talk about that?
We've developed Wombat OEM, where we've taken all of the. So you want 5 nines availability in your system, and everyone running Erlang will tell you that we can create a system which, including upgrades and outages and issues, will have a maximum of a few minutes of downtime per year.
Wow.
And that's really easy to do with Erlang. I think it has a lot of the features, but you need to have strict discipline and you need to run things the way you do in the telco space, which means you need to do preemptive support, which means you need to address issues before they escalate and result into an outage. You need to have full visibility into what's going on at any particular point in time in order to give you alerts and notice anomalies. And third is you need to have full visibility over what has happened after an outage or an issue. So as soon as you've had an outage, you need to very efficiently go in and monitor and figure out what has gone wrong, and the only way you can do that is through very extensive logging. And so these are the 3 cores which in the telco space will ensure that whenever you pick up a phone, you hear a toot on the other end. Now, how do you apply this to gaming, to banking, to finance, to messaging, and to all the other verticals in which Erlang is making space, which have the same levels of requirements? And so what we've done is we've taken all of the generic functionality which you need to implement from one system to another, and we've put this functionality in its own node, calling it Wombat.
Oh, wow.
And completely in a seamless way, you provide a node name and a cookie using distributed Erlang will connect to this node, and then will auto-discover your cluster.
Wow.
And automatically start monitoring it and start pulling in, depending on what applications you're running, application-specific metrics and alarms. So we start monitoring system limits, process queues, and anything which might be a warning that something might be going wrong. We'll tell you about it. System notifications over things which shouldn't be happening but are actually happening, we log them. And metrics. Just out of the box, we'll have about 100 metrics, VM-specific metrics, and you never know when you need them. on top of, if you're running other applications, we'll have even more metrics there. So, and that's the first step. The next, that's what we have now. And then we use Wombat as a hub to connect to Nagios, Cacti, Graphite, Grafana, or whatever OEM infrastructure then customer might have.
Very cool.
And so you can do that without even touching the production node. So it acts as the hub towards your whole OEM infrastructure. And once you've integrated it once, you've integrated it for all.
Done.
So yeah, it's done. And
Wow.
so you don't need to worry about it anymore.
That's fantastic.
And interesting, we're getting a lot of enterprise customers with Wombat,
That's great.
which are used to doing things. It's interesting to see startups are loving it, but they have a much lighter weight approach.
Interesting.
Which is always a cost benefit approach where it's good enough. 4 nines or 3 nines might be good enough. An hour outage per year or a few hours outage doesn't really matter. So we might have a lightweight version for them.
I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about building a services company plus product, because that's not really the Silicon Valley
It
way.
is a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare.
Really?
It's interesting. We've learned a lot of lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and it's taken a long time to get a product off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And actually getting people to start thinking in terms of products. And I've had talks where I've gone in and said, you're a service company or you're a product company. And you need to really separate the two.
Yeah.
And I think we've tried developing a lot of products in the past, but they never got beyond the proof of concept phase. Because as soon as you've got underutilization and you need to get people out on projects because they've sold in development for a large customer, the first thing which gets cannibalized is the product.
Yeah.
And so we were extremely lucky with Wombat, and we were very successful. We're extremely lucky because what happened is we've got an office in Budapest, and which was very shielded. They do a lot of React work and React support, and that was taking about 20% of their time.
Interesting.
So the remaining 80% was focused on Wombat.
Wow.
And we bootstrapped it with a research grant from the European Union. It was part of the release project, which was looking at getting Erlang to scale in distributed multi-core environments. And with it, the EU funded the whole proof of concept. And then from there, we took the proof of concept and turned it into a product.
Wow.
It's taken a long time to change the mindset.
The mindset of your employees or the mindset of your customers?
Employees, because you're thinking in terms of consultancy. You're thinking in terms of hours. You're thinking in terms of maximizing utilization,
billing as many hours
as possible. So they're seeing people working on a product. Oh, but they should be billing. They should be billing. And so no, they're building a product, and we've invested several man years into it. It's not writing a system which ensures that your cluster is up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You need to take care of you need to take care of a lot of borderline and edge cases. So I think so far we've invested on top of the research project, which was maybe 2-3 man years.
Wow.
We've invested another 4 to 5 man years into it, and now it's really taking off. And we've got something solid which will scale.
Very cool.
Just the scalability, we tested it on monitoring cluster of 10,000 nodes.
Wow.
And the only reason we didn't go up to 20 was we didn't have enough hardware. But the way we set it up, it's linearly scalable.
Very cool. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Perfect.